Welcome to Arking World. Today we're going to look at how to make a living willow fence to give you fast shelter in your ark. So living willows is a wonderfully fast windbreak, and even though it's not ideal because you're just basically cloning plants, but it gives you this really fast shelter which will allow other things to take off. So it's a really good idea if you have the space. You don't want to have it within 8 to 10 meters of any kind of structures because willow is very shallow rooted, so it can damage the structure of the house. But it's such an amazing plant. Like, you can create living willow tunnels and houses, and it's just great crack. Your kids will really enjoy it. If you have kids, you can make amazing little kind of hiding spaces for them and things like that. But it's also really good for insects. Willow is just below oak in terms of the amount of support it offers to different creatures, not just insects. And the wonderful thing about it is you can literally just cut a piece of this wood here, and if you shove that into the ground at this time of the year, between November and I really don't like to go further than the end of February, even though you can apparently, but I never find it works quite as well. But if you shove that at least a foot into the ground, it'll root, and then you'll have a new willow plant. And the thing about it is, because they grow, if you coppice them, they grow in these really long stems, and they're very useful for basket weaving and fencing and things like that. And so this is a really good living fence that we can make, and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so the way it works with willow is you cut one of the stems at the base in the winter like this, and then if you shove this in the ground, it will root and form a new willow, even though it's a clone and it's not as beneficial as a plant grown from seed. But for fast shelter, which I seriously need in this field, I'm going to use them to make some fences initially anyway. And then as I can develop more native mixes and things, I'll probably cut down the willow and use it for mulching for paths and things later. But for the moment anyway, it'll be a kind of a quick fix. So the thing to do is to shove the willow at least a foot in the ground. Now, you might need a crowbar if you have harder soil, and you put the crowbar right down into the ground. You can use a lump hammer to get it down, and then you pull it out and put the willow in. But for me, because my land is so soft, it literally is like butter. I can just push them in, and I push one in through the grass down into the soil. Now, with all the upright ones, I'm going to go across, like do an X across each one. So let me go down a bit further here. So this one, say here, I'm going to go that way, a good foot or more into the soil sideways, and do an X at the back of it as well, as far as I can. I'm going to do that the whole way along. So I've cut loads of string pieces to keep handy to do this. So basically the idea is to weave this willow into as many kind of smaller sections as possible. So it's kind of like weaving, but you don't want the tips to end up pointing downwards, because then they die back. So you can kind of go across with them or up with them and try and make a structure out of them. Mine won't be perfect. Nothing is. Okay, so I've done a bit. There's a little doorway out, and I'll finish the rest of it now tomorrow, but this will give you some idea of what I'm trying to do, and I haven't finished it obviously. So yeah, that'll sprout now in the spring and put out new branches, and they'll be woven in again next winter, and it'll get much stronger every year and give us shelter for the forest garden on the other side. That's it.